Qingyang and Ning Yiwan arrive at the Yuying temple, but Qingyang is far from calm. With the darkness creeping in, his nerves are getting the best of him. At night, he transforms into a dog, and this isn't exactly the ideal moment for that. His mind races with panic as he realizes how bad the situation could get. If he turns here, his senior sister would likely try to finish him off, and he wouldn't stand a chance against her. The very thought of it sends shivers through his entire body. Ning Yuan notices his strange behavior. She questions why he's suddenly keeping his distance, sensing that something's off. Qingyang, trying to cover up his fear, pretends to be occupied with surveying the surroundings, but it's clear he's not fooling anyone. Ning Yuan brings up the mission, clearly surprised that Qingyang chose Spring City. She thought they'd be apart for a while, not expecting to run into him so soon. She then asks him about the wandering floating cloud technique she had taught him, wondering if he's been keeping up with his training. Qingyang, not one to dodge, asks if she really wants the truth. When she confirms, he admits that he's already mastered the technique. Ning Yuan is astonished by how fast Qingyang has mastered the technique. She can't wrap her head around it, considering she only taught him once. His progress seems unreal, especially for someone who, until now, seemed to be wallowing in mediocrity. She asks him how he went from being a total slacker to a martial arts prodigy overnight. Qingyang, unfazed, simply remarks that the past is the past, and it's never too late to wake up. But internally, his thoughts are a little more sarcastic. He reflects how was he supposed to know what the original version of this NPC was thinking before. It's clear the game developers never intended for the old Qingyang to have much going on. He wonders they really didn't give this guy any brains, did they? Qingyang, ever the smooth talker, tells Ning Yuan that with her teaching him, there's no way he could let her down. He reflects on how crucial the wandering floating cloud technique is, knowing he'll need this lightness skill. Once they complete the 4 tasks, they need to make a quick getaway. Before he can fully dive into his thoughts, Ning Yiwan interrupts, throwing him off with a bold accusation. She suggests that since she has the spirit jade body, he might be trying to get close to her in hopes of merging their essences to boost his cultivation. Qingyang is completely startled by this, quickly denying it. He thinks to himself, what kind of bizarre logic is that? That's a corporate-level misunderstanding. Ning Yuan smiles, amused by his reaction. She reassures him that it doesn't seem like that's where his thoughts are heading. Lovingly, she points out that people's subconscious actions don't lie. Then, shifting back to business, she suggests they focus on what's ahead, entering the Yuying temple, because there's nothing like a looming mission to change the subject. Qingyang says to himself she is the heroine who slayed the NPC in the game. How could he dare to act rashly? Then they step into the Yuying temple and are immediately greeted by the sight of 3 statues. Ning Yuan surveys the room and notes that, at first glance, everything seems perfectly normal. However, she recalls Qingyang mentioning that ever since Miss Wang left the temple, strange things have been happening to her. Qingyang, ever observant, points out that there's another mirror in the room, raising suspicion. Ning Yuan, not one to overlook details, asks if he's certain it's the work of the mirror demon. Qingyang cautiously responds, saying it seems like that could be the case, but he's not ready to jump to conclusions just yet. He explains that while there might be a connection with the temple, it doesn't necessarily mean the mirror demon is responsible. Qingyang's thoughts are racing. Should he tell his senior that unless she handles this plot lightly, the real danger won't reveal itself? He debates whether to mention that he's already played through this scenario before. No, that would be a disaster. If she finds out, she'll never take him seriously. He decides to keep that little secret tucked away for now. Instead, Qingyang turns to her and casually asks if she had sensed any evil spirits before they arrived at the temple. He himself can't sense anything right now, but back at the wine house, there was definitely something off, an evil presence lurking. Ning Yiwan mentions that there is no demon aura, maybe the essence at the temple diluted it. Just then, a sudden movement catches his attention. In an instant, Qingyang yells, warning his senior sister to look behind her. There, slithering menacingly, is a massive python, ready to strike. It lunges toward her, but Ning Yiwan reacts swiftly, dodging the attack with precision and summoning her sword in one fluid motion. Ning Yiwan remarks that while the creature is strong, it's not beyond her ability to handle. She quickly gauges the python's realm, noting that it's at the monster transformation stage, equivalent to a human monk at the 3rd meridian condensation stage. If a demon's realm is at the 1st stage and a human's is at 2nd stage, it would be an equal fight because demons at that level are quite powerful. Meanwhile, Qingyang suddenly remembers that his sword is still with Lei Jinkin. Great timing, right? Just as the situation escalates, he realizes something even more alarming. This serpent can't just be at the monster transformation stage. Its presence is far too overwhelming. He quickly shouts to Ning Yiwan, pointing out that there's something seriously off with the spirit python. Its aura is way beyond what they expected, likely at the golden core stage of human cultivators and the soul essence stage of the demon clan. Ning Yiwan, taken aback by this revelation, barely has time to react before the python strikes with its tail. The force of the attack sends her flying into the wall with a crash. As she tries to recover, blood trickles from her mouth, and she clutches her chest, gasping for breath. The python doesn't give her a moment to catch up, launching another attack. Ning Yiwan curses herself for underestimating the situation, realizing she's in deep trouble. Just as the danger closes in, Qingyang suddenly appears in front of her, shielding her from the strike. In that instant, a brilliant golden light bursts from Qingyang, slamming into the python and sending it flying. As the dust settles, Qingyang reflects on his incredible fortune. Good thing he took the time to review those ancient texts before coming here. That's where he learned to use the powerful Undying Radiance, an artifact that now belongs to him. He ponders if Qin Shen had gotten his hands on it instead, things would have been a real mess. Qingyang rushes over to Ning Yiwan, who is now slumped against the wall, clearly in bad shape from the python's attack. He kneels beside her, his voice full of concern as he asks if she's okay. But as he looks at her more closely, something stirs within him. The sight of her spirit jade body overwhelms him, and an uncontrollable instinct begins to take hold. His mind urges him to bite down, drawing closer to her neck, completely lost in the pull of her powerful aura. Just as he's about to give in to this primal urge, his inner self screams at him to stop. Qingyang snaps back to reality, horrified by what he almost did. He realizes just how dangerously tempting the spirit jade body is, nearly losing himself in its allure. Before he can fully process his brush with disaster, the python returns. Angrier than ever, its eyes burning with rage. With no time to waste, Qingyang grabs Ning Yiwan's sword and addresses it directly. He pleads with the magical weapon, telling it that if it wants to protect its master, it must let him wield it. To his relief, the sword doesn't resist. Wasting no more time, Qingyang charges at the python, swinging the sword with newfound determination. He knows this spirit python is a whole realm above him at the soul essence stage, but with the Undying Radiance protecting him, the creature can't land a single blow. And now, armed with Ning Yiwan's divine sword, Qingyang feels unbeatable. It's like having cheat codes in a boss battle, overpowered and loving it. He then lunges forward for the final strike, while reflecting on the fact that everything now hinges on this moment, victory or defeat. A few seconds later, he stands victorious beside the fallen python, still processing what just happened. He thought he was a goner, but instead, an unexpected reward awaits him. He broke through a realm in the heat of battle, now using the transformation stage equivalent to a human cultivator's meridian condensation stage. While this still places him below Ning Yiwan's level, at least now they're in the same realm. Leveling up from here is going to be much harder, but hey, at least his chances of surviving have skyrocketed. He then approaches Ning Yiwan, who remains unconscious. Gently holding her, he ponders his next move. Taking her back to the Wang family in this state seems inappropriate. He's unharmed, but she's barely conscious, and it'll be tough to explain. Revealing the Undying Radiance isn't an option either. Talk about a sticky situation. At that moment, his spirit pet, the demon fox lady, arrives on the scene, calling out to him. She informs him that Qin Shen has indeed made a move, but her attention quickly shifts to the defeated python nearby. She asks if he had been through a major battle. Qingyang, still trying to figure out his next steps, tells her it's a good thing she arrived when she did. He asks if she can take care of Ning Yiwan for him. The demon fox lady immediately panics, backing away as soon as Qingyang asks her to help. She reminds him, almost trembling, that while she may be his spirit pet, senior sister Ning Yiwan has a nasty habit of attacking and killing any monsters on sight. Terrifying doesn't even begin to cover it, she adds, explaining that she wouldn't dare touch her out of sheer survival instinct. However, something catches her attention. Hesitantly, she moves closer to Ning Yiwan and places her hand on her chest. Qingyang, ever the quick wit, calls her out, jokingly accusing her of being a lecher for making a move on an unconscious woman. Really? Now's the time to be a perv? The demon fox lady rolls her eyes, denying the accusation. She explains that it's not what it looks like. There's a real issue here. It seems Ning Yiwan is stuck at a crucial breakthrough point in her cultivation, and now that she's unconscious, things could take a very dangerous turn. Qingyang is startled by the revelation that Ning Yiwan is on the verge of breaking through at such a critical moment. He anxiously asks the demon fox lady what exactly could go wrong for senior sister. The fox lady explains in a calm yet ominous tone that every time a human cultivator breaks through, they must undergo an introspective battle with themselves, facing their own inner demons. But now that Ning Yiwan is unconscious, she's completely unaware of this crucial process. If she doesn't manage to break through within the next half hour, she'll be stuck forever at the meridian condensation stage, unable to progress any further. Hearing this, Qingyang panics, shouting in desperation, asking what they should do. The demon fox lady, rather nonchalantly, suggests that it might not be so bad if Ning Yiwan doesn't break through. After all, if she stays stuck, she won't find out Qingyang is from the demon dog clan and chop him into pieces. A bit of selfish logic, but hey, it's survival. Qingyang shakes his head, reminding her that Ning Yiwan has helped him, taught him lightness skills, and has practically been half his master. Letting her fail now wouldn't be right. He demands that the fox lady find a solution, urging her to act fast. The demon fox lady, seeing his seriousness, admits he has a point. Qingyang's mind races as he reflects on the situation. The thought crosses his mind that this might be some form of dark arts. The demon fox lady, ever blunt, mentions that it's something akin to dual cultivation. But Qingyang quickly dismisses that idea, saying that in this case, it's not dual cultivation. It's taking advantage of someone who's unconscious. If he goes through with it, Ning Yiwan will kill him the moment she wakes up. The demon fox lady, unfazed, grabs his cheek playfully and points out that's exactly why she didn't bring it up sooner, and she can't figure out why he's angry at her. Qingyang huffs, explaining that it's outrageous and he's not some eunuch. Mutual consent is a must. He asks if there's another way because this method could easily lead to a cultivation deviation, which could end even worse than the current situation. With a sly grin, the demon fox lady reveals that there is indeed another option. Qingyang, being a prince of the demon dog clan, possesses a unique essence blood that can help humans overcome breakthrough challenges. He's special after all. Qingyang, now relieved, grins and remarks that she should have mentioned that earlier. After all, donating blood is good for health, right? He reflects on his lineage, realizing that this is probably why Qin Shen has been after his blood essence. Makes sense now. Qin Shen wasn't just after him for petty reasons. The demon fox lady, though, warns him that using this method comes with a price. Losing his essence blood will weaken his foundation, and the recovery process is long and grueling. Qingyang waves it off, acknowledging that recovery may be slow, but it's still possible. Besides, with her by his side to protect him, he feels reassured. Without wasting another moment, Qingyang takes Ning Yiwan's sword and makes a small cut on his wrist. Blood begins to flow, and carefully he pours his essence blood into her half-open, delicate lips. Here's hoping this royal blood works its magic. The demon fox lady watches Qingyang with an amused look, commenting on how kind he's being to Ning Yiwan. She questions why he bothers, considering he'll leave the Sky Realm sooner or later. Qingyang, in response, places a finger on her lips, telling her to be quiet. With a smirk, he then offers her some of his blood as well, saying it might help her improve too. A sudden spark lights up in the demon fox lady's eyes, and without hesitation she lunges forward, mouth open, eagerly drinking the blood still dripping from his wrist. As she drinks, her face betrays her emotions. She's fully absorbed in the moment, completely intoxicated by the power coursing through her. Qingyang looks at her with raised eyebrows, commenting dryly that this is demon dog blood, not an aphrodisiac, and she should probably act normal. She responds with a dreamy smile, admitting it's not an aphrodisiac, but it's much more potent. After all, many covet his demon dog blood, not just her. Qingyang sighs, reflecting on how this NPC life has turned him into a sort of delicacy, like a prized Kobe beefsteak. Who knew being coveted could be considered a strength? Time passes, and Qingyang sits a little distance from Ning Yiwan, who still lies unconscious on the floor. His head hangs low as he waits. Suddenly, Ning Yiwan opens her eyes and starts coughing, regaining consciousness. She reflects that it feels like she's on the verge of a breakthrough. The unexpected attack from the spirit python has given her an early chance to ascend, but she quickly realizes this temple is far from an ideal place for such a delicate process. Not exactly the peaceful setting you want for leveling up. Ning Yiwan settles herself into a meditative yoga position, ready to begin her breakthrough process. Meanwhile, Qingyang is jolted awake by the demon fox lady shouting directly into his ear, gleefully announcing that Ning Yiwan has awakened. Apparently, Qingyang had dozed off while sitting, completely oblivious to the world around him. Rubbing his eyes groggily, Qingyang stumbles to his feet, moving like an old man with arthritis. He asks Ning Yiwan if she's feeling better, to which she responds with a hint of concern, saying she fears she's on the verge of breaking through. Qingyang shuffles closer, reassuring her not to worry, promising he'll protect her during the process. Ning Yiwan opens her eyes briefly and gives him a mysterious look, asking if he's really okay. Qingyang brushes it off, explaining that his legs just feel weak from sitting too long, and tells her to focus on her breakthrough. Not exactly the most heroic image, but hey, even heroes need naps. He reflects for a moment, realizing that losing some blood has made him a bit dizzy. Before he can dwell on it, the demon fox lady interrupts again, reminding him about Qin Shen. That guy always manages to make things worse. Qingyang reassures her that he hasn't forgotten. As soon as senior sister finishes her breakthrough, they'll head back. Meanwhile, Ning Yiwan continues her process, focusing deeply as she reflects on how Qingyang is voluntarily protecting her. She wonders if he realizes that only Dao partners typically guard each other during such delicate moments. Either he doesn't know, or he's playing a much bigger game than she thought. While Qingyang stands watch, the demon fox lady throws another bombshell at him. She warns that if they head back too late, everything might already be over. Confused, Qingyang asks her what she means by over. With a mischievous grin, she explains that she forgot to mention. Qin Shen is currently busy with the mirror demon, and he's also doing some naughty things with Miss Wang. Startled by this revelation, Qingyang nearly jumps, blurting out a shocked "What?" just when things couldn't get any weirder. Qingyang, still in disbelief, asks the demon fox lady if he heard her right. As the shock fades, he quickly shifts into a more serious mode, reflecting on the game's original plot. In the game, Ning Yiwan never learned Qin Shen's true nature. She thought the chaos in the Sky Realm was responsible for everything, which is why she followed him and left the Sect. Qingyang realizes that this truth needs to be revealed to her, but directly telling her could easily lead to misunderstandings. The best course of action, he decides, is to catch Qin Shen in the act. After all, nothing proves guilt like being caught red-handed. Still, one thing puzzles Qingyang. Why is Qin Shen messing around with this mission in the first place? Qin Shen isn't the type to engage in anything unless there's a profit involved. Qingyang figures there must be something big at stake. Half an hour later, Ning Yiwan opens her eyes and a calm but powerful aura surrounds her. She announces that she has successfully broken through to the early stage of the Golden Core. Qingyang, with a smile, congratulates her on forming her Golden Core. Ning Yiwan, feeling grateful, thanks him for protecting her during such a crucial moment. As she reflects, it crosses her mind that Qingyang might not fully understand the deeper meaning behind protecting someone during a breakthrough. But brushing off the thought, she tells herself to forget about it. Curious, Ning Yiwan then asks if Qingyang was the one who slayed the spirit python. Qingyang humbly explains that he borrowed her Moonlight Lotus Dream sword. He adds that since the sword is very protective of its master and perhaps due to some recent progress on his part, he was able to take down the python. Ning Yiwan, deep in thought, considers Qingyang's explanation. Even with the Moonlight Lotus Dream sword, Qingyang was only at the Foundation establishment stage, so she suspects he's holding something back. Qingyang, sensing her doubt, realizes she's not fully buying his story. Before he can come up with a better explanation, the demon fox lady reappears and teasingly tells him it's fine. He can continue pretending to be a tiger in sheep's clothing. Qingyang sighs and admits that might be his only option for now. Sometimes, it's better to let the mystery linger. Just then, Ning Yiwan moves her hand above the head of the dead python, and to Qingyang's surprise, a glowing purple gem rises from its head. With precise movements, she plucks it from midair. Qingyang watches curiously, wondering what it could be. Ning Yiwan, sensing his curiosity, explains that the gem is a demon core of the purple grade, something rare and powerful. Such a core can be used to enhance weapons. Without hesitation, she hands it over to Qingyang, telling him that since he was the one who slew the spirit python, the core rightfully belongs to him. Qingyang takes the gem, feeling its weight and power in his hand. Still puzzled, he asks if a demon beast at the transformation stage could produce a purple-grade demon core. Ning Yiwan replies that a transformation stage beast could only produce, at best, a blue-grade core with a faint hint of purple. Her eyes widen as she quickly realizes what this means. The python must have surpassed the transformation stage. Qingyang recalls what Madame Wang had mentioned about visiting the Yuying temple and then having a strange dream about a deity instructing her to buy mirrors. He can't quite connect the dots between that and the spirit python. Ning Yiwan clarifies the situation, explaining that the python was the mirror demon's spirit pet, nurtured with human essence to reach its current powerful stage. This logic makes sense, and Qingyang agrees, the pieces finally falling into place. Ning Yiwan then turns the conversation to Qingyang's own spirit pet, asking where that fox spirit, the one with a reputation for kidney cutting, is hiding. Qingyang lifts his right hand, showing her the bracelet on his wrist, and casually explains that the fox spirit is sealed there. He asks if she's planning to scold him for keeping the mischievous pet around. Ning Yiwan, with a hint of concern, admits she's more worried that he might get charmed by the fox spirit. The demon fox lady, never one to miss a beat, appears and whispers to Qingyang, suggesting that there's a hint of jealousy in Ning Yuan's voice. Qingyang, amused but wary, tells her to keep quiet as he's already picked up on it himself. It seems like things are getting a little more complicated than just breaking through realms. Later, they arrive back at the Wang family house, where an old servant leads them to the guest room, mentioning that all the other masters are resting. Qingyang reflects on how exhausted he is, relieved to finally be back. But just as he's about to unwind, he spots Lei Jinkin waiting for them by the door. She immediately approaches, her voice loud and sharp, asking Qingyang why he didn't call her when he went on the mission. She seems frustrated, explaining that she could have benefited from joining them. Qingyang explains to Lei Jinken that senior sister Ning Yiwan had come by and they left without disturbing her sword forging. Lei Jinken greets Ning Yiwan with a polite hi before turning her attention back to Qingyang. Excitedly, she pulls out the sword she forged for him, urging him to take a look and feel free to suggest any modifications. She's ready to make any adjustments on the spot. As Qingyang gazes at the blue blade of the sword, he's astonished by its craftsmanship. The blade gleams with a subtle energy, far beyond his expectations. Lei Jinken explains that since Qingyang has a water element root, the original iron sword's fire attributes were counteracting his natural energy. She's carefully adjusted the attributes so that the sword now aligns with his water element, making it a much better fit for him. She modestly adds that the sword's grade is decent, nothing too special. However, the demon fox lady examining the sword closely reflects that this sword is far more than just decent. She starts to wonder if Lei Jinken isn't the rumored genius heir of the Lei Jin family. Whispering to Qingyang, she warns him not to be deceived by the sword's seemingly ordinary appearance. In reality, compared to the legendary Moonlight Lotus Dream, the sword is nearly half as good. Qingyang's eyes sparkle with excitement. If his new sword is even half as powerful as that legendary blade, and it's practically a divine weapon. He eagerly takes the sword from Lei Jinken, thanking her with genuine appreciation, telling her that he absolutely loves it. Blushing in his praise, Lei Jinken modestly replies that it's her way of repaying him for the help earlier that afternoon. As long as he likes the sword, she's happy. However, Ning Yiwan, standing nearby, isn't as pleased. Her face betrays her jealousy, her expressions tight with barely contained irritation. Without a word, she orders the old servant to lead the way, her tone brisk and clipped. Both Qingyang and Lei Jinken watch in disbelief as Ning Yiwan storms off. Lai, puzzled, wonders aloud why senior sister Ning Yiwan seems a bit unhappy. Later that night, Qingyang sits in his room inspecting his new sword with a look of satisfaction. Meanwhile, the demon fox lady, lounging comfortably on his bed, rolls her eyes and asks how long he's going to be so thrilled with his new toy. Hugging the sword close, Qingyang replies with a grin, saying he just scored a divine sword for free. How could he not be happy? After a moment, he asks if it would be too much to give the demon core to Lei Jinken tomorrow and ask her to embed it into the sword. He wonders aloud if she'll think he's pushing his luck. The demon fox lady, ever practical, suggests they skip that plan altogether. She points out that since he brought plenty of human trinkets with him, they could just visit the demon market tonight. After all, the demon blacksmiths there are experts in embedding demon cores. It's practically their bread and butter. Qingyang, impressed by the suggestion, gives her a thumbs up, acknowledging how reliable the idea sounds. Later that night, they make their way to the bustling demon market. Upon arriving, the demon fox lady leads him to her old shop, where she calls out to her little sisters, Ning, Shang, and Yang. The moment they hear her voice, the trio of demon sisters rushes towards her, excitedly hugging her in delight. They bombard her with questions, eager to know if the Sky Realm is filled with handsome guys and if they're as good-looking as their young master. They'd also want to know if all the human cultivators still hate their demon tribe. The demon fox lady, overwhelmed by their enthusiasm, tells them to cut it out. Qingyang, amused by the joyful reunion between the demon fox lady and her sisters, decides to give them some space. He tells them they can catch up while he goes for a walk and leaves the shop, heading straight for the blacksmith to get the purple-gray demon core embedded into his sword. Soon he arrives in a bustling blacksmith shop where a red dog demon named Saner is hard at work. Qingyang greets him and explains that he needs a purple-gray demon core embedded into his sword. Saner, sizing him up, quickly quotes a price minus 50 mid-grade spirit stones. Not one to panic, Qingyang opens his bag, revealing a collection of human world items. He asks if these could serve as a replacement for the spirit stones. Saner's eyes light up with excitement as he inspects the bag, remarking on how impressive the goods are and calling Qingyang a wealthy young master. Seems like Qingyang hit the jackpot with his human trinket haul. Saner grabs a decorative ball from the bag and, practically beaming, asks if he can take this as payment for embedding the purple core. Qingyang, realizing how small the ball's value is in comparison to the stones, agrees without hesitation. As he hands it over, he reflects on his luck. Who knew a simple backup decoration could replace 50 mid-grade spirit stones? This deal turned out far better than expected. A true bargain for a divine sword upgrade. Meanwhile, a crowd of demons begins to gather outside the blacksmith shop, peeking in and shouting eagerly. They start addressing him as young master, each one trying to catch his attention. They're all eager to exchange their prized possessions for his rare human world items. A goat demon excitedly offers an orange-grade returning origin pill, asking if he can trade it for a simple hairpin. A pigeon demon waves a sky-turning seal, claiming it's incredibly useful and offers to swap it for a body bead. Another demon, holding up a floating cloud fan, asks to exchange it for whatever Qingyang has to spare. Soon the blacksmith shop is swarmed with demons, all clamoring for their chance to trade. Qingyang can't help but chuckle at the scene, realizing he's become the most popular figure at the market. Who knew human trinkets would cause such a frenzy? With a smile, he steps forward and announces that he'll make sure everyone gets a chance to trade. For those who can exchange today, he promises to return in a few days to complete more deals. Instantly, the demons line up in an orderly fashion, their excitement palpable. Qingyang, enjoying the chaos, tells them no cutting in line and have their items ready for the exchange. With a grin, he begins swapping his human world treasures for valuable demon artifacts, making one fantastic deal after another. Looks like a shopping trip turned into a lucrative business venture. Hours later, Qingyang finds himself sitting beside 4 bags filled to the brim with valuable items, all exchanged for simple trinkets from the human world. He laughs to himself, reflecting on the fortune he's amassed. Who knew that a few human curios could be swapped for such treasures? He starts going through the loot, marveling at his haul. First, he picks up a purple gold gourd. This remarkable artifact can absorb almost anything, from enemy attacks to the spiritual energy of the world itself. With a grin, he kisses the gourd, acknowledging how useful it'll be as a storage item. It'll perfectly replace the void stone, he thinks, thrilled with this versatile new tool. Next, he examines the 5 elements flag. Each element, metal, wood, water, fire, and earth, is represented, allowing him to set up a powerful 5-element array, both offensive and defensive. A mini-fortress and a flag, he muses, impressed by its capabilities. He moves on to the 9 Revolutions Golden Pill, a potent treasure that can significantly enhance cultivation. It even offers the chance to refine and reshape one's root bone, an invaluable item for those seeking to push their limits. Qingyang smirks, knowing this could be a game-changer for his own cultivation journey. Finally, he holds up the Breaking Void Pill. This rare and highly valuable pill helps cultivators break through bottlenecks, especially during the Golden Core stage. It's perfect for those trying to condense void, and its effectiveness is legendary. Just the thing he'll need for his own future breakthroughs. Qingyang continues to examine his haul with a wide grin. The next item he pulls out is the Element Fusion Powder, which refines impurities within the body, gathers spiritual energy, and purifies cultivation. This will be perfect for fine-tuning his cultivation progress, he thinks. Then he picks up the Nether Pearl, a rare treasure that absorbs surrounding yin or spiritual energy and converts it into the owner's power. The constant source of energy? Yes, please. Next is the Regenerative Elixir, a miraculous potion that can heal injuries and even promote limb regeneration. Definitely a must-have in dangerous situations, he reflects, admiring the vial. Finally, he pulls out a Concealment Talisman, an item capable of hiding one's aura, a valuable asset for remaining undetected. Talk about going stealth mode. Laughing with pure glee, Qingyang stores all the items into his purple gold gourd, which feels like it has no limit. He raises it triumphantly, feeling like he's just won a jackpot, exclaiming that this was far more than he ever expected. This trip was totally worth it. Just then, the blacksmith approaches the Qingyang's sword, now embedded with the purple core. He proudly shows off the completed weapon, asking if Qingyang is satisfied. Qingyang, thoroughly impressed, thanks him with a grateful nod. The sword is now a true masterpiece, powered up and ready for action. Saner continues, nervously asking Qingyang for one more favor. Qingyang, still in good spirits, tells him to go ahead. Saner then hands him the ball and shyly asks if he can throw it for him, explaining that, as dog demons, they both enjoyed playing with balls and it's been a long time since anyone has played with him. Qingyang, feeling a mix of amusement and mild embarrassment, reflects on how childish it seems to play fetch, but decides to humor Saner. He says he understands and, with a slight grin, gets into a stance and throws the ball, telling Saner to fetch it. Saner barks excitedly and sprints after the ball with boundless energy. As Qingyang watches, he can't help but reflect that, yes, they're both demon dogs, but surely he's above such things. However, just as he thinks that, something stirs deep inside him, an uncontrollable urge to chase after the ball. Before he can resist, his instincts kick in, and without thinking, he lunges forward, racing toward the ball alongside Saner. So much for keeping it dignified. The next morning, everyone gathers in the Wang family courtyard to discuss the plan for taking down the mirror demon. Qingyang confidently lays out the strategy. He and Lei Jinkin will head in first, smashing all the mirrors to make sure the demon can't escape. He silently thinks about keeping his demon Foxlady behind just in case. She'll cause some chaos when Qin Shen inevitably starts acting up, which will definitely grab Ning Yiwan's attention. Meanwhile, Qingyang plans to stay out of sight to avoid drawing any suspicion, because nothing says I'm innocent like not being around when things go wrong. Ning Yiwan, ever the leader, instructs Lang, the brown-haired boy, and Zhang, the pink-haired girl, to tag along with Qingyang and Li Jinken. Both quickly agree, ready to do their part. Right on cue, Qin Shen jumps in with his own brilliant idea. He suggests that Ning Yiwan should lead another team to double-check things. He cleverly drops a hint that their younger brothers and sisters might mess up. Of course, he also points out that Miss Wang is fragile, so he'll nobly stay behind to keep an eye on things. Ning Yiwan agrees, trusting his judgment, but Qingyang silently reflects on Qin Shen's smooth act. He can't help but laugh to himself. He reflects a dog can't stop eating shit. Then realizing he's also part dog, he winces. Wait, that's an insult to me. Gotta be careful with these comparisons. As soon as the group leaves, Qin Shen wastes no time making his move toward Miss Wang's room. With everyone out of the way, he reflects on his plan. Once he absorbs the mirror demon's essence, he's confident he'll have a strong chance of breaking through to the golden core stage. Even though Ning Yiwan is nearby, he figures he can wrap things up quickly without her noticing. Sneaky, but typical Qin Shen. Entering Miss Wang's room with sinister intentions, he remains unaware that the demon fox lady is quietly watching him from the shadows. Amused, she thinks it's like watching a live broadcast, though she wouldn't mind some peanuts and sunflower seeds to really enjoy the show. Evil deeds are much more entertaining with snacks, after all. Qin Shen sits in a yoga position preparing for his dark ritual. The next moment, with a burst of energy, he vanishes into the mirror, leaving the room empty. Meanwhile, Qingyang and the others are busy smashing every mirror they can find in the Wang family house, one by one, making sure no chance of escape is left for the mirror demon. Suddenly, the sound of loud noises echoes through the halls. Courtesy of the demon fox lady, of course. Hearing the commotion, Ning Yiwan turns her head, suspicion rising. Lang and Zhang rush toward the commotion, with Zhang guessing that senior brother Qin Shen has probably caught the mirror demon. Lang, ever the optimist, comments on how senior brother Qin Shen never disappoints. Qingyang follows behind, amused, reflecting that they're in for quite the show. Ning Yiwan, moving faster than everyone, bursts through the door with a powerful kick, only to find Qin Shen lying unconscious on the floor of Miss Wang's room. His face is flushed, and his usually composed demeanor is replaced by the sight of him sprawled out, utterly helpless. Quite the dramatic scene. Qingyang enters just after, already knowing what's up. The demon fox lady, lurking nearby, whispers gleefully to Qingyang, explaining that she had just kicked that scumbag Qin Shen over and asking how he liked her setup. Pretty good, right? Qingyang, holding back a chuckle, responds quietly that it's not bad at all and promises her a reward later that night. A little praise for a job well done never hurts. Ning Yiwan rushes over to Qin Shen and calls him, but he remains unconscious, his cheeks suspiciously red. It's like he'd been caught red-handed, just without his hands actually doing anything. Lang quickly deduces that senior brother Qin Shen is probably out of his body, battling the mirror demon inside the mirror. Qingyang can't help but appreciate the convenient cover Lang just provided, saving him from explaining the real situation. Good job, Lang, even if you have no idea how wrong you are. Zhang, meanwhile, spots a mirror in the room. As she approaches, her expression suddenly shifts, her face turning bright red with embarrassment. She squints at the mirror, clearly seeing something she wishes she hadn't. She struggles to process what senior brother Qin Shen is doing in there. Could he really stoop that low? Zhang is utterly mortified. Ning Yiwan, sensing something's off, demands to see what's in the mirror with a serious tone. Zhang, panicking, quickly hides the mirror behind her back, stammering that it's nothing. But Ning Yiwan isn't having any of it. With a firm expression and an outstretched hand, she insists on seeing for herself. Zhang reluctantly hands the mirror to Ning Yiwan, fumbling to explain that senior brother Qin Shen must have some sort of explanation for what's happening. However, when Ning Yiwan peers into the mirror, the sight that greets her is nothing short of disgraceful. Qin Shen, indulging in some hanky-panky with Miss Wang, while the mirror demon casually stands by as if supervising the whole sordid affair. Ning Yiwan's face turns red, but not from embarrassment. Pure rage burns in her eyes. Zhang, still trying to salvage the situation, stammers that this could somehow be part of Qin Shen's strategy. Li Jinken, with her hands covering her face in disbelief, blurts out that no strategy in the world involves trapping oneself in a mirror to indulge in naughty activities. She adds with disgust that Qin Shen doesn't exactly look like he's struggling. If anything, he looks quite pleased with himself. So much for heroism. Without wasting another second, Ning Yiwan, fueled by fury, unleashes her skill, shattering all the mirrors in the room except for the small one she holds. In that moment, Qin Shen's soul snaps back into his body like a child yanked away from a mischief. Well, this is going to be awkward. Qin Shen slowly opens his eyes, sitting up with a groggy expression. Placing his hand dramatically over his chest, he mumbles about feeling something off, clearly trying to play the victim. Ning Yiwan stands before him, unimpressed and furious, reminding him that he seemed to be enjoying himself just moments ago. Startled, Qin Shen's mind races. Why is she here? Panic sets in as he realizes that everyone is standing around him, and worse, they all seen what he was doing in the mirror with Miss Wang and the mirror demon. This shouldn't be happening. He scrambles for a way out and in his desperation clutches his chest again, faking pain and claiming that his chest hurts. Internally, he curses his rotten luck, reflecting that the real problem is that he was interrupted during the crucial moment of absorbing the mirror demon's essence. Now his spiritual foundation is damaged, pushing him even further away from his goal of reaching the golden core stage. Perfect, just perfect. Ning Yiwan, not fooled by his pitiful act, speaks firmly, telling him that she witnessed everything he did in the mirror. With no room left for excuses, she informs him that once they return, she expects him to report to the head of Liu Shipeak himself and accept his punishment. Qin Shen's mind races as he reflects on Ning Yuan's words. She saw everything. He tries to fumble for an explanation, claiming he was about to subdue the mirror demon, but Ning Yiwan cuts him off sharply. She coldly informs him that she knows exactly what he was doing, absorbing the mirror demon's essence. Ning Yiwan then lays it out plainly. The mirror demon had absorbed countless human essences, and Qin Shen, wanting to take advantage of that power to boost his own cultivation, crossed a line. She reminds him that such practices are dangerously close to demonic cultivation, and as a cultivator, he should know better. Qin Shen clenches his fists, internally raging. The opportunity the elder gave him is now wasted, and to make matters worse, even Ning Yiwan, whom he had hoped to impress, is now disgusted with him. He wonders in frustration how everything spiraled out of control so quickly. Meanwhile, Ning Yiwan approaches Miss Wang, who is lying peacefully on the bed, still soundly asleep. She sits beside her and then calmly instructs Qingyang and the others to guard her while she takes on the task of personally dealing with the mirror demon. Because when things go wrong, sometimes you have to step in and clean up the mess yourself. Qingyang and Lei Jinken comply without hesitation, ready to follow Ning Yuan's orders. She instructs them to keep a close eye on the mirror from outside, warning them that the demon might try to escape through the small pond nearby, as the water's surface could serve as another hiding spot for him. Qingyang assures her that be vigilant. As he holds the mirror in his hand, Qingyang reflects on how things are unfolding almost exactly like in the game. Despite the chaos, in the end, it's still Ning Yiwan who faces the mirror demon. Some key events, it seems, are just too hard to change, he muses. Knowing this, Qingyang realizes that he needs to speed up his tasks and make a swift exit before things get even more complicated. Running away doesn't sound so bad right about now. Meanwhile, Ning Yiwan, calm and focused, sits in a yoga position. She leaves her physical body and enters the mirror, ready to confront the demon head-on. Qingyang watches her spirit vanish into the reflective surface, holding the mirror tightly as her battle begins within. Lei Jinken, standing nearby, can't help but be in awe. She remarks that seeing senior sister Ning Yiwan in action, vanquishing demons and embodying the Tao in person, is a rare learning experience. There's so much to learn from someone as powerful as her. Lei Jinken thinks, already feeling inspired by the strength and grace Ning Yiwan exhibits. Inside the mirror dimension, Ning Yiwan faces off with the mirror demon. The mirror demon, in a frantic panic, runs for his life, trying desperately to escape. But he soon realizes that there's no way out. All the mirrors outside have been smashed by Ning Yiwan and the others. No escape this time. With a swift, powerful kick, Ning Yiwan sends the demon flying across the mirror dimension. She points her sword directly at him as he crashes to the ground, begging for mercy. Ning Yiwan, however, remains calm and stern, asking him if the spirit python was his pet. Instead of answering, the mirror demon continues to plead for his life, desperation written all over his face. But Ning Yiwan isn't swayed. She firmly repeats her question, demanding an answer. Cornered, the mirror demon admits that the spirit python was indeed his spirit pet, a guardian of his home, Yuying Temple. He explains that he was born from the bronze mirror held by a boy, and now that he's confessed everything, he pleads again for his life, hoping she'll show him mercy. Ning Yuan's expression hardens. She reminds the mirror demon that he has killed countless innocent people, stealing their essences. And now, after all that, he dares to ask for forgiveness. Despite the demon's tears and final pleas, Ning Yiwan doesn't hesitate. In one swift motion, she delivers the final blow, ending the mirror demon's life once and for all. Justice has been served. Qingyang, holding the mirror, looks away as the final moments unfold inside. Lei Jinken, standing beside him, comments on how decisively senior sister Ning Yiwan handles such situations, clearly admiring her for it. Qingyang, on the other hand, feels a surge of panic. Making a strange, uncomfortable face, he reflects that when Ning Yiwan inevitably discovers his true identity in a few months, she'll likely kill him with the same ruthlessness she showed the mirror demon. Well, that's a comforting thought. Moments later, Ning Yiwan emerges from the mirror, along with Miss Wang, whose soul had been trapped by the mirror demon. Both return to their bodies, and Ning Yiwan calmly tells Qingyang that he can now return to the Sky Realm to submit his mission. Another task complete, though the stakes seem to be rising for him. Miss Wang stirs, coughing slightly before opening her eyes. Sitting up, she asks what happened to her, clearly disoriented. With a gentle smile, Ning Yiwan tells her that she simply fell ill, but has now recovered. Qingyang watches this display of compassion and reflects that, although Ning Yiwan is as fierce as a god of death when dealing with demons, she's always gentle and kind with the weak. Maybe if he started acting weak and helpless, it might work in his favor, he wonders. Miss Wang, still groggy, nods and replies to Ning Yiwan that it's good then. Later, Miss Wang, filled with gratitude, eagerly offers to host a meal for everyone. However, Ning Yiwan, ever the focused warrior, declines, explaining there's still work to be done. Saving the world doesn't come with snack breaks after all. As the group gathers outside the Wang family house, Ning Yiwan informs them that her mission is far from over, instructing the others to head back. Qin Shen, ever trying to weasel his way into her good graces, offers to tag along. But Ning Yiwan, not impressed, swiftly shuts him down, pointing out how disgraceful his earlier actions were. She firmly tells him to return and reflect on his behavior, and bids the rest of the group farewell, leaving them to make their way back while she continues her mission solo. The next day, the demon fox lady is busy scribbling away, working on something important, while Qingyang is meticulously counting his treasure stash. He's checking each item, making sure not a single thing is missing. With a satisfied grin, he mentally lists his haul. 3 divine-level artifacts, 5 holy-level artifacts, 6 heavenly-level artifacts. The list goes on, and he smugly tells the demon fox lady to jot it all down. Not bad. He thinks, his chest puffed up with pride. As he continues to marvel over his collection, the demon fox lady glances up and remarks on just how terrifyingly large his treasure pile has grown. She throws in a warning about the pills, reminding him that these aren't your run-of-the-mill medicines. Too many, and you'll lose control of their effects. A little caution never hurt anyone, right? Qingyang just laughs it off, feeling untouchable. He assures her that he has no plans to hoard it all. He's going to sell some of the pills for a fortune. 10,000 taels easy. With all that wealth, he'll be able to buy even more treasures. The demon fox lady, noticing Qingyang's excitement, asks curiously what has him so worked up. Qingyang, with a gleam in his eyes, reflects on how he's been poor for so long and is now on the verge of wealth, ready to finally enjoy the luxury he's been missing. It's about time, he thinks, reveling in the thought of his newfound fortune. The demon fox lady, affectionate as always, gently reminds him of a promise he made, a reward for her. Qingyang, pretending like he hasn't forgotten for even a second, offers her anything from his vast collection of treasures. He's proud of his offer, figuring any of the items would be more than enough to satisfy her. But the demon fox lady isn't interested in material things. She explains that, as his spirit pet, her strength grows alongside his, and none of the treasures in his stash are of any use to her. With a playful smirk, she moves closer to Qingyang, her presence teasing and affectionate. What she truly wants is a taste of his blood, just a small amount, enough to satisfy her. She climbs onto him, making her intentions clear, knowing that his blood holds the kind of power no artifact could match. Qingyang, although hesitant, agrees, knowing he can't deny her request. Still, he hopes she won't take too much, as he's aware of how special his blood is and how quickly it could weaken him if she takes more than she should. The demon fox lady reassures him, her smile playful, that she only wants a little taste, just enough to enjoy, nothing more. For now, anyway. The demon fox lady leans in even closer, her warm breath on Qingyang's neck before licking it once again. Qingyang, feeling a mix of anticipation and resignation, sighs and allows it. She's helped him so much. A little blood isn't too much to ask, he thinks, telling himself he'll recover quickly. With a loving look, the demon fox lady inches nearer, her gaze soft yet hungry. She takes a deep breath before sinking her sharp teeth into his neck, drinking his blood with a quiet intensity. Qingyang winces at the pain but bears it, knowing it's temporary and she won't take too much. After a while, the demon fox lady pulls away, clearly satisfied, and nestles against him with an affectionate snuggle. Qingyang, curious but a little drained, asks her if she's satisfied now. She responds playfully, remarking on how delicious his blood is, teasing that she could just eat him up entirely. Not the most comforting thing to hear after a blood snack, he muses. Half-jokingly, Qingyang reflects on the nature of fox spirits, making a quip about how they're all exactly as mischievous as the legends say. The demon fox lady, grinning, responds that they are indeed real foxes and that she's his loyal slave devoted to protecting him. She even offers a bit more assistance, hinting that if he ever needs warmth during the winter, she's more than happy to help. Subtle, right? Qingyang laughs, a mix of exhaustion and amusement settling in. He acknowledges her playful advances but brushes it off, saying he's worn out and needs to rest. With more training and another mission ahead of him tomorrow, he can't afford to be distracted. The demon fox lady, ever attentive, reassures him that he can relax. She'll make sure he's comfortable and tells him to rest for now. For someone who just drank his blood, she's quite the caring companion. Meanwhile, Ning Yiwan stands tall, facing a group of demons with her usual cold confidence. Without a trace of mercy, she declares that none of them will survive today. With swift, powerful movements, she unleashes an attack, slicing through the creatures as if they were nothing more than paper. It's all in a day's work for her. One of the evil spirits, clearly frustrated, speaks up, complaining about Ning Yuan's tendency to ruin their plans. He questions why she's attacking, insisting they were living peacefully until she showed up, as if demonically infused peace was ever a real thing. Ning Yiwan, with an icy tone, makes it clear that they already know why. To her, they are demonic creatures, and she takes pleasure in eradicating such beings. Simple as that. No need for grand speeches. Suddenly, another demon attempts a sneak attack from behind, but Ning Yiwan effortlessly dodges the blow, not even breaking a sweat. Just then, two grenade-like devices come flying toward her, resulting in a massive explosion. Unfazed, Ning Yiwan dodges the blast with ease, commenting on how desperate they've become, resorting to blast bombs now. Nice try, demons, but this isn't her first explosive rodeo. As she prepares for her final move, a dark shadow technique gathers around her, signaling the impending doom for the remaining demons. She states coldly that demons are still demons, no matter how much they try to act like humans. Speaking human language doesn't make them any less deserving of their fate. Just before she's about to unleash the devastating attack, one of the demons, panicking, urges the others to attack her all at once. Asterisk, a last-ditch effort, asterisk, but Ning Yuan's never one to be caught off guard. All the demons rush toward Ning Yiwan, desperate to overwhelm her, but their efforts are in vain. With one swift, devastating attack, she wipes them all out in an instant, leaving nothing but shattered remains. She stands tall, unfazed, surrounded by the scattered pieces of her enemies. Just another day on the job. Only one evil spirit remains, trembling in sheer terror. He manages to stammer out a warning, claiming that their lord has already set his sights on her. Typical demon last-ditch threats. Without giving him the chance to say anything further, Ning Yiwan strides forward with cold precision. Before the trembling spirit can even finish his sentence, she swiftly cuts his throat, ending him instantly. No hesitation, no questions. Demons get no mercy here. Meanwhile, in Qinshen's home, he stands in front of a mirror, frustration etched on his face. He's venting to someone on the other side, lamenting how everything this month has spiraled out of control. One mistake is tolerable, but this... He had the perfect opportunity handed to him, and yet, somehow, it all fell apart. A voice from the mirror asks about Liuxin's progress. Qinshen, still simmering with anger, admits it's not going well. He mentions how Qingyang keeps hanging around Ning Yiwan, and to his growing frustration, she seems to be warming up to him. As if that wasn't bad enough, Ning Yiwan has grown even more powerful, recently breaking through to the 4th level. The voice from the mirror, clearly aware of the situation, advises Qinshen to shift his focus. His new task is to secure Ning Yiwan's favor. If he can win her over, she'll eventually fall for him, and the benefits of her spirit jade body would be immense for his cultivation. Qinshen, swallowing his frustration, acknowledges the plan and vows to make it work. The voice in the mirror offers a way forward, instructing Qinshen to come to the palace at midnight. There he'll be given something that will not only help restore his cultivation, but also put him back on track. Failure is not an option this time. Qinshen agrees, determined, promising to be there. This is his chance to redeem himself and reclaim the power he's lost. Later that night, Qinshen sneaks out of his house, completely unaware that the demon fox lady has been watching him the entire time. Amused, she observes his every move, remarking to herself that the rat is finally leaving his hole. She's intrigued to see where he's headed, and without a second thought, she quietly tails him. Thinking he's sneaking around like a common thief, he's definitely up to no good. Qinshen, paranoid as ever, checks his surroundings, making sure no one is following him. But being a fox spirit, the demon fox lady stays completely undetected, weaving through the shadows with ease. She follows him at a distance until he disappears into a secret door that leads to a grand palace. Curiosity piqued, she murmurs to herself he's heading into this sect leader's house, wondering what in the world is he planning. As she tries to follow him inside, she unexpectedly bumps into an invisible barrier, wincing in pain. Ow! There's a barrier here, she exclaims, clearly frustrated by the unexpected obstacle. Realizing this is no ordinary situation, she decides it's too dangerous to proceed any further. This is serious, she thinks, her mind racing. Qin Shen sneaking into the headmaster's palace could only mean one thing. Could the demon lord be hiding here? The stakes are higher than she initially thought. Back with Qingyang, he's sitting with a book in his hand, looking a bit uneasy. Beside him is Zheng Qingping, the ever-enthusiastic journalist, eagerly awaiting his feedback. She asks him if her writing is any good, but Qingyang, with a confused expression, wonders aloud what he's even reading. Before he can fully express his frustration, Zheng Qingping snatches the book from his hands, proudly declaring that it's just the original draft of her latest Mystic Chronicles. She reminds him he should feel privileged to even be holding it. Lucky him. With dramatic flair, she clears her throat, ready to give him an impromptu reading. Qingyang, instantly horrified, pleads for her to stop, feeling his embarrassment bubbling up. This is not the kind of fame he signed up for. But Zheng Qingping, ever the tease, laughs it off. She insists it's just a bit of news, and whether it's true or not doesn't really matter. News is news, after all. She continues poking fun at him, saying his over-the-top reaction only proves how emotionally gripping her story is. This tale will have people in tears. Now red with embarrassment, Qingyang internally groans. Why did he ever cooperate with her? He curses his decision to spill everything, knowing that if senior sister Ning Yiwan finds out, she'll definitely kill him. Qingyang reflects on how Zheng Qingping, being the one responsible for keeping everyone informed about what's happening in the sect, has now put him in a tricky spot. He regrets ever talking to her, realizing he's in way too deep, like a fish swimming into a shark's mouth. Sensing his growing panic, Zheng Qingping laughs again, finding his fear amusing. She reassures him with a playful tone, reminding him that while Ning Yiwan may be cold and terrifying at times, she wouldn't actually hurt him. Well, not outside of class or competition anyway. But Qingyang remains nervous, still trying to wrap his head around the mess he's in. Maybe some scars are mental. Zheng Qingping, picking up on his anxiety, gives him another nudge of reassurance, saying Ning Yiwan will probably just talk to him. Nothing more serious. But let's be real, even a conversation with her can feel like facing a storm. Then, with a sudden shift, Zheng Qingping announces it's time for her to leave, mentioning it's getting late and she needs her rest. Qingyang, more than happy to see her go, agrees quickly, almost eager to escape this embarrassing situation. Just as she stands up, she winks at him, throwing in one last comment. She calls him the rising star of the sky realm and says he's bound for fame and fortune. But of course, she reminds him to keep feeding her all the juicy information so she can publish it, always fishing for more details. Qingyang, still feeling uneasy, reflects on how she's the one responsible for his sudden fame. If it wasn't for her writing, he'd probably still be flying under the radar. But no, now he's famous and stressed. As she leaves, Qingyang grabs his head in frustration, thinking to himself, why is everyone around here so gossipy? He recalls an especially mortifying moment when Zheng Qingping had a book full of inappropriate drawings about him. It's like the Sect has its own tabloid. Just then, the demon fox lady returns, her mood visibly bright as if she's just come back from a successful adventure. She saunters up to him, teasingly saying she has some important news to share, but of course, expects a reward in return. Qingyang, already tired from the day, rolls his eyes and asks what kind of news could possibly warrant such a big reward. One thing at a time, Fox Lady. Smirking, the demon fox lady reveals that she might have discovered the location of the demon lord. Qingyang immediately grows serious, standing up to close the doors and windows, making sure no one can overhear their conversation. Once the room is secure, he sits back down and with a focused expression, asks the demon fox lady to spill the details of what she's discovered. The demon fox lady doesn't hold back. She explains that while she was tailing Qin Shen, he sneaked through the back door of Singui Pavilion, the very place belonging to the sect leader. She couldn't follow him because she hit a barrier and lingering any longer would have risked her getting caught. Not a situation you want to test your luck in. Qingyang's eyes widen as he processes this information. He asks if she's saying that the back door of Singui Pavilion, the seat of the sect leader, is connected to the demon lord's whereabouts. The thought of the sect leader possibly working with the demon lord sends chills down his spine. What if the whole sect is compromised? But the demon fox lady shakes her head. Her theory is even more startling. She suspects that the leader of the sect is the demon lord. Quite the twist, Qingyang thinks, feeling his blood run cold. She adds that how the demon lord could have taken the place of the sect leader, though, remains a mystery. Qingyang, still confused, presses the demon fox lady for more details. She explains that the Singui Pavilion is surrounded by a barrier specifically designed to affect non-human beings. While it could be passed off as a security measure to protect the sect leader, she suspects it's actually there to block out other demons or non-human races from detecting what's really going on inside. She then points out that the sect leader hasn't shown his face in a long time, supposedly claiming to be in seclusion. But why would someone in seclusion allow Qingyang in? It doesn't add up. The demon fox lady adds that while she doesn't have concrete proof, her instincts tell her something is off, especially when she recalls the ashes they found in the cave. Ashes of demons, most likely, Qingyang thinks. It only strengthens her suspicion that the sect leader is hiding a dark secret. Qingyang, now more serious, realizes that they need to think through this carefully. This isn't the kind of accusation they can toss around lightly. If they're wrong, it could spell disaster. The demon fox lady asks what Qingyang's plan is if their suspicions turn out to be true. She suggests that perhaps they should bring this information to Ning Yiwan. Given her hatred of demons and the demon clan, she would undoubtedly do everything in her power to eliminate the demon lord if he's lurking in their midst. And if anyone could spearhead that mission, it's her. Qingyang thinks carefully before responding to the demon fox lady. He tells her that he's not exactly on close terms with Ning Yiwan, and without solid proof, she'd likely be suspicious of his motives. Bursting in with half-baked theories could backfire spectacularly. If he were to go to her now, he wouldn't have enough evidence to explain things properly, and that would only raise more questions. He continues, saying that now that they know who the real boss is and his connection to Qingyang, their next move should be to dig deeper. What they need is solid, irrefutable proof. Once they have that, Qingyang can approach Ning Yiwan directly and figure out the demon lord's full plan. This is bigger than just guessing, it's about understanding the enemy's entire strategy. Reflecting on his experience with the game's storyline, Qingyang remembers that although he knows parts of it, there are many details he skipped over. He recalls that the demon lord's first goal is to possess Qingyang and become Ning Yiwan's Dao companion to boost his power and ascend. Right now, the plan's likely to make Qingyang stronger so that the demon lord can reap the benefits later. Qingyang, as always, is just a pawn in the bigger game. The demon fox lady, as playful as ever, cuts in, reminding him that it's reward time. Qingyang sighs, playfully telling her to come to bed, but warns her to only take a sip of his blood. Too much, and he'll be dizzy for half a day. He knows her appetite can be a little overenthusiastic sometimes. The demon fox lady, clearly pleased, lightens up and affectionately tells him how good he is to her. With a satisfied smirk, she gets what she wants as Qingyang begins to give her some of his blood, just enough to fulfill the deal without knocking himself out in the process. 2 days later, at the residence of the Yanyang Peak Master Ba Linshu Peak, Ning Yiwan arrives with her usual composed demeanor. Inside, her master, lounging on the bed with a book, looks up in surprise. She didn't expect Ning Yiwan to return so soon. Already back, she muses, her tone teasing. Ning Yiwan, sitting gracefully on the floor before her, explains that she has now reached the Golden Core stage, which allowed her to complete the mission more efficiently. All the demons at the marked locations have been dealt with, slaughtered without mercy, of course. Her master, pleased and full of praise, can't help but beam with pride. Exactly what I'd expect from my dear disciple, she thinks, feeling the glow of a job well done. But her master isn't one to stop there. Grabbing Ning Yiwan's cheek with playful affection, she teases her. "Look at you. You're getting chubby. You should lose a little weight," she says, pretending to inspect her with mock seriousness. Ning Yiwan, clearly embarrassed, pleads for her master to stop with the teasing. Her stern exterior cracks just a bit as she squirms under her master's gaze, wishing for the floor to swallow her whole. Her master, however, laughs heartily, enjoying every second of it. She chuckles, noticing how Ning Yiwan's serious face resembles her own from back in the day. Like master, like disciple, she thinks with amusement. Ning Yiwan, frustrated by her master's carefree attitude, wonders aloud why her master is so relaxed now, half joking that perhaps all those legendary stories from the past were exaggerated. Her master, for a brief moment, grows serious, hinting at something deeper but quickly brushing it off. Instead of addressing the question, she changes the topic, pulling out the book she was reading with a mischievous grin. She shows Ning Yiwan the cover, which prominently features both Ning Yiwan and Qingyang, and mentions how she's been keeping herself entertained with the latest gossip in the Mystic Chronicles. The sight of the cover makes Ning Yiwan's face flush with embarrassment. It's not the kind of attention she's fond of, especially not the kind involving baseless rumors. Her master, clearly enjoying the moment, makes it even worse by pointing out how much she enjoyed reading the parts about Ning Yiwan and Qingyang. This only deepens Ning Yiwan's embarrassment. In an attempt to cut the conversation short, she quickly grabs the book, hides it, and awkwardly says she'll read it later at home. Anything to escape this teasing. Ning Yiwan hesitates for a moment before bringing up a subject that's been on her mind. She asks her master about the possibility of transferring Qingyang to their peak. Her master, always quick with a playful remark, finds this request amusing. She notes with a sly smile that if Ning Yiwan is interested in someone, then she's interested too. It's not often that her disciple shows such enthusiasm for anyone, which piques her curiosity even more. Ning Yiwan, maintaining her calm demeanor, explains that Qingyang's talent is undeniable, and his cultivation potential might even surpass her own. This catches her master's attention. She responds with a touch of intrigue, now genuinely curious to meet him. She jokes about having him brought over one day so she can play with him, her words laced with mischievous intent. Ning Yiwan, trying to remain composed, asks her master not to frighten the other disciples with her teasing ways. She then politely excuses herself, saying she's heading back to her dorm to rest. One teasing session with her master is more than enough for the day. Meanwhile, at Qingyang's dormitory, senior sister Zheng Qingping arrives, knocking persistently on his door. With a deep sigh, Qingyang opens the door, already anticipating trouble. Seeing her, he groans internally, not again. He quickly tells her that he's run out of material to share with her, practically begging for a break. He's been dealing with her constant visits for the past 6 or 7 days, and it's starting to feel like a never-ending cycle of torment. I don't want to die so soon. He thinks, recalling how every time he steps out, the disciples give him strange looks, probably thanks to the rumors spreading because of her. But Zheng Qingping, unusually calm, reassures him that she's not here to pester him for more gossip. This time, she's delivering actual news. She informs him that senior sister Ning Yiwan has arrived at the peak. Qingyang is caught off guard by Zheng Qingping's news, his surprise evident. He asks her how she knows about Ning Yiwan's arrival, and she responds with a mischievous laugh, bragging that she always has her ways of gathering information. Of course, if he wants more details, she teases, he'll have to give her something in return. Typical. Frustrated, Qingyang mutters under his breath, calling her a nosy troublemaker. Zheng Qingping continues her teasing, mentioning that she's not focused on her writing at the moment but has other material in mind. Then, with a sly grin, she pokes at his feelings for Ning Yiwan, suggesting he put in more effort to get closer to her. Qingyang, exasperated, shuts the door in her face, telling her to let him rest in peace. Enough is enough. Finally, with Zheng Qingping gone, Qingyang lets out a sigh of relief. He talks to himself, grateful for the brief reprieve, thinking he can finally get some rest without being harassed. But just as he starts to relax, his body begins to feel strangely warm. Confused, he wonders aloud what's happening to him. The demon fox lady suddenly appears, sensing his discomfort. She reassures him, explaining that he's about to experience another breakthrough in his cultivation. A timely interruption, but at least this one brings good news. The intense pain surges through Qingyang's body, overwhelming him. He groans, feeling as though his entire being is on fire, his muscles tightening painfully. It feels as if he's about to explode from the unbearable heat. The demon fox lady, normally composed, grows worried as she watches him struggle. Her eyes widen in concern as she notices Qingyang slowly starting to transform into a dog. Soon he completely transforms into his dog form. She tries to reassure him, reminding him that she's set everything up perfectly. A barrier has been placed to ensure he can undergo his breakthrough peacefully without interruptions. But the pain only worsens, Qingyang's body burning hotter with every passing second. His eyes begin to glow a deep, unsettling red, and the demon fox lady, panicked, pleads for him to tell her what's happening. In her desperation, she racks her brain and asks Qingyang if he took any elixir earlier that might be interfering with his breakthrough. Something feels off, and the breakthrough isn't going the way it should. Her suspicion that something is blocking his progress intensifies, and her worry turns to fear. Qingyang's eyes turn even darker, eventually glowing a bright, almost sinister red. Seeing this, the demon fox lady's panic spikes, and she exclaims in fear, urging him to stop scaring her. His eyes, fully transformed and blood red, seem foreign to her, and the usually playful spirit finds herself trembling. She doesn't know what's happening to him, but it's nothing like the breakthroughs she's seen before. Something is terribly wrong. The demon fox lady, deeply concerned for Qingyang, instinctively reaches out to help him. But before she can make contact, Qingyang snaps at her with animalistic fury, trying to bite her. Shocked and horrified, she quickly pulls back. Qingyang runs wildly out of the room, driven by an uncontrollable force. Panic sets in as the demon fox lady realizes he's beyond reason. This is no ordinary breakthrough, she thinks, fear creeping into her voice as she mutters she has to stop him. Without a second thought, the demon fox lady shifts into her fox form and races after him. I hope that you liked today's video, and if you did, hit that like button as today's like goal is 1,500 likes. Comment down below for the next part. Also, consider subscribing with the notification bell on to get notified as soon as a new video drops onto the channel. You can also join the channel to support me financially and watch videos before public release. I'll meet you in the next video. Until then, thanks for watching.